Hello, welcome Stitchers. Welcome to Genetics Creations. I am doing another live class today and we have some fun stuff for you in store. So before I jump right in, if you are new here, again, my name is Jen. These are all my creations and this is literally going to be a live class that I am doing once a week. Every Wednesday at 2 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. However, next month I will have a few reschedules coming your way, so stay tuned because I will make sure you guys all have that information before we get there. But it's dedicated towards you guys. I have a lot of people that come up to me all the time telling me they wish they've tried crochet, they always wanted to learn. And I say, why not? Let's learn. So I'm here to teach you guys whatever and anything you want to learn that is related to crochet, yarn, hooks, needles, the whole 9 yards. So I have a lot in store. Let's go ahead and start with, for anyone who's new here, you are going to want to go into the description below. First off, I have a few different things. I do have another addiction. It is Color Street Nail Polish. And for Color Street Nail Polish, it is just my fancy way of keeping my hands camera ready. Hopefully you guys can see that. Keeping my hands camera ready, but also allowing myself to keep stitching. So this one's a little bit of a more subtle effect. It is called Sprinkles on Top. But it's dry nail polish, guys. That's what I love so much about it. It's literally just like a sticker almost. I know that sounds like an oversimplified thing. But then you rub it out. I file the edges. And it's dry. I'm ready to go. I keep stitching. I usually do my nails right before this class so they look all nice and pretty, and they truly have like the best glitter ever. So if you guys haven't tried those, that link is definitely in there. Hey there, Jen. Yeah, their glitter is the best, and when I am in the sun, it literally looks like I have little tiny diamonds on my nails. So that link is below, but if you have questions along the way, I love Color Street too. It's awesome. Their makeup products, everything, I'm a huge fan of. I'm more than happy to answer, but if you guys want to check it out, that link is in the description, and you guys can definitely find out more. What else is in the description? Because I got a lot of things in there for you. There is going to be a link, and I am pulling it up right now so you guys can see it live with me, but I want you guys to go and check it out. So go into the links. There is a free downloadable tool. When you are there, you can go ahead and print it off. Oops. Welcome to my Google Drive. It's a little bit chaotic. But this is what it looks like. Guys, print it off. It has a lot of great things. First off, yes, you're going to have a great way to always be linked to anything and everything Genetics Creations. This is my virtual business card. So if you scan that code, it'll take you to my Etsy shop where I have patterns. I also sell the items that I make. So if you want to buy a gift or anything like that, everything is there. But it also has a link for all my YouTube channel. So if you guys want to continue getting connected with some more tutorials and other live class options, even live events, if you guys are in the Northern California area, I do a lot of in-person vendor events as well, and I can even do some live classes. So these are all things that I offer, but this is the best way to get in touch with me. My email's in there as well. But here's what's in it for you. If you are new to crochet, and forgive me, my voice is still recovering from a basketball game where apparently I don't know how to not scream. But it is recovering, so bear with me. This is great. If you're new to crochet, a lot of times, especially when you're diving into patterns, it can sound like a different language. I don't want that to sway anybody from learning crochet. So if you aren't familiar with the language, or you want a nice cheat sheet that you can put next to you when you're crocheting to navigate through the patterns, this is your friend. So print it off. It'll tell you every little DC, 2 together. Yeah, we know that's a double crochet, 2 stitches together. You may not know that, but at least if you have a key that's explaining it all for you, you might be able to navigate that pattern a little bit more on your own. However, give me the pattern. I'll be happy to dedicate a class towards walking you guys through how to break down some of these patterns and how to get through them and create these lovely projects, especially if that's what's holding you back, guys. Crochet should be fun. It does not need to be overcomplicated, and I want to help you guys learn whatever it will help you learn. Another way you can find a lot of crochet patterns is going to be through diagrams. These are becoming one of my favorites because it's usually like a one and done. It's a one-pager. It's a map that tells you where to put all the stitches. And once you learn how to read those, it can open up the doors to a lot of free patterns, especially. Hey, free patterns, guys. And when you guys know the cost of yarn, hooks, and everything, that can really add up very, very quickly in this hobby/addiction. anytime you can do stuff for free, I'm a huge advocate of saving money. So this is another thing that will help you navigate those. Literally just tells you what each symbol means, and then you just have to look at that diagram or that map and see how you put those stitches together. So that is yours free. It is in the description. It is a link. You can download it. You can print it off. It's a PDF. It should be easy. But if you have any questions, my email, again, is also in there, and it's also in the YouTube channel. So let's navigate into today's project. I wanted to have us be able to actually create something and finish something. So if you guys have some scrap yarn, you're not going to need much. We're making some coasters. These are also face scrubbies. They are also, in my household, the thing that I put a lot of plants on. You can also make them heating pads. Hot plates, like that you put under pans to protect your counters when you have the stuff come off the stove. So they are going to be this hexagon shape. They probably would be a little more hexagon shaped if I actually color blocked, or whatever they say it is when you stretch everything out with the pins. I think it's color blocking. It's blocking. It's not color blocking. It's just blocking your project. Forgive me. But I confess, I cut a lot of corners when it comes to that stuff, so especially when it's just stuff that I use in my house. So these are all just gathered from all over the house. These I made for 4th of July, so what I love is you can get a lot of different color options in here. But you can also make them larger, and you can keep them small. So these are the coaster sizes. These are also what I would use for face scrubbies, but I make them bigger when I'm putting like big vases on them, or if I'm using them as a hot plate for pans and whatnot. Yarn. You can technically do this with any yarn. I'm not going to sit there and be picky. So yes, blocking. I know, Jen, I'm bad at that. I'll get into it. But anyway, you can make these with any yarn. I've made them with acrylic yarn and some scraps sometimes when I'm just using them for odd and end projects, like just to protect something heavy I'm going to put on a table or something like that. But if you are using them for anything that is going to be involved with water, wash towels, dish scrubbies, face scrubbies, anything like that, you're going to want to stick with cotton. Acrylic and polyester, they repel the water, they do funny things, and then you're going to be like, this isn't what I imagine. Yes, because cotton is best. Also, for hot pads, if you're using them for that, acrylic and polyester, guys, this has got it's got plastic blends in there. There's a reason why some people hate it, love it, but it's a good material for a lot of different things, but it's not good for heat. So you're going to want to make sure you stick with cotton if you are using it for that purpose. So plan a little bit ahead, but don't let that stop you from practicing. We're going to be using a combination of puff stitches. So these are the puff stitches. I guess I should get a little pointer involved here. Okay, so these right here are going to be your puff stitches. We have some double crochets right in here. And then these have it, but these do not. So you're going to have two different options on how you want to finish it. If you'll notice, this is a little bit bright. It makes it kind of hard to see the stitches. I thought brighter would be better. It happens. Okay, well, you guys are going to have to bear with me on that. It's a little bit bright, but you'll see I do the puff stitches all the way to the end. And then on this one, I actually did a nice subtle border of half double crochets. I'm going to walk you through both options so you guys at home can do what you would like and go from there. So I did say cotton yarns. There's going to be a lot of affiliate links in the bottom. One, my favorite hooks and my favorite needles. These are Susan Bate hooks. That you do not need to get these ones, but it's funny because I literally have had this same pack since I was a kid, and their packaging online and the link that I have below, nothing's changed. All of it is the same, but it is what I've literally done everything with. I like the Susan Bates hooks. They just, let's see if I can really show you. It's a little bit hard to see, and my camera does not like to autofocus. We might be needing to do some tech upgrades in the near future. But it has like a little bit of a deeper cut on the hook and just a little bit of a different point than some of these other hooks that I see a lot of. I do have tons, so I will show you what I mean. These are the other popular ones. This is a bigger one. I figured it would be easier for you to see the difference. As you can see, this little inlet or this little indentation, it's not as deep. So sometimes whenever I use these, I drop the yarn all the time. I do not like using these hooks. It's hard for me to get a rhythm. But I am told they are more beginner friendly. These are called your Boye, B-O-Y-E hooks. I don't know how you pronounce it. That's just how I've always pronounced it. So if I'm wrong, please guys don't make fun of me. Again, this is live. That's what happens. But yeah, feel free to use whatever hook works best for you. I have been told that is more beginner friendly, but I prefer my Susan Bates. And then I have links in there for the metal yarn needles, which we can use at the end. I also put links for the sugar and cream yarn. I know that is one of the most common popular brands out there of cotton yarn. I do have some because I buy a lot of lots from like estate sales and garage sales. So this is literally what I'm using 9 times out of 10 for cotton yarn. I put links for the 3 and the 6 pack. You guys may not want to buy these individually cost wise on Amazon. You're probably paying like $6 to $5 per a roll. And when you get the 3 pack or the 6 pack, you can get it down to like just under $5 each. So definitely take advantage of the affiliate links that I put down there because that was kind of like your best bang for buck. If you guys have a Michaels near you, this is a great option. I actually love the Loops and Threads cotton yarn. One of my favorites. In my opinion, it's like ever so slightly softer than the sugar and cream. However, not by much. It's not going to be super noticeable. It's still cotton yarn. I know some people have a thing with that texture. I personally love the cotton yarn for the right project. And Loops and Threads, in my opinion, has a really good one. So that's what I'm going to be using for this demonstration. But if you guys are just practicing these stitches, please just use whatever scrap yarn you have left over from one of your other projects that you've been working on. It is a great way for you to practice stitches and really learn more how to manipulate this yarn into what you want. Alright, so I've used up about 10 minutes covering the intro. I'm trying to make sure we have enough time to really finish this because I really love this and I think it's just a fun, versatile project that I think you all can benefit from. So again, we're going to be making this fancy dancy hexagon. Is it easier to see the blue or the tan? I think it's easier for you guys to see the blue. So we're going to be comparing it to that. That is what we're going to be making. And let's jump in. We are starting with the infamous magic ring. Now, I know some people who love, hate, whatever, when it comes to the magic ring. If you guys want to completely omit using it, you probably can chain 3 or chain 4 and slip stitch to the beginning to form a ring, but I will do my best to teach you a magic ring right here, right now. I know I have a tutorial on it, but it is not the easiest to always figure out. So, I have my yarn to the left, I have my hook in the right, and I have the dead end, the cut end, in my hands. And I only say left, right, just because if you are a left-handed crocheter, you are going to want to reverse this. I am right-handed. You guys will see that. So, magic ring. This is how I do it. There's a million ways to do it, you guys. It's basically a fancy slip knot, but before you pull it tight, you're doing the stitches in the circle. Don't overthink it, but the way that I've always done it that works best, and I actually saw this on a YouTube video ages ago, and I've just never veered from it. I pinch down that right there, so you've got the dead end that's cut, and we're going to go around. You're going to make an X, okay? That should not have that's confusing. Okay, so let me not confuse you guys. Go around, make an X. I hold that. That's the hard part, is like holding all this funness until you get it going. I go under the first, over the top, and I bring that through. Okay? This is where things tend to fall apart because it becomes very difficult to hold and work your stitches into. So I pull it a little bit tighter so it just becomes a nice little circle. I like to it makes it easier for me to control. I'm going to hold it with my fingers where those are all crossing, and it makes it real easy to stitch into. I want you guys to start by chaining 2. Okay. We're going to begin working the puff stitches into the middle of the magic ring. We're going to do 6 puff stitches. If you guys know how to do it, by all means start working your 6. If you don't, we're going to do this together. I also have another video using the puff stitches in another project, so it's just a really fun stitch. This is not your typical double crochet, single crochet, so I'm going to go slow here, but it's a great stitch for texture. for design. I also use them in wine totes. I'll show you that in a few moments, but I don't want to get too distracted here. So let's begin by yarn over. You're going back into the ring, yarn over, pull up. We're going to do that again. Yarn over, go back into the ring, yarn over, pull up, yarn over, back in the ring, yarn over, pull up. Okay? This is where it can get a little difficult because we're going to yarn over and then pull through all of these loops. You should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 loops on the hook if I counted that right. To help you guys not get caught up along the way, I always pull my hook that way. So I am applying tension as I pull. I'm going to yarn over, I'm going to apply tension, I'm going away, not a lot, so don't get crazy, but that's how you get that nice smooth pull through and it won't snag things along the way. If it snags things, yes, you can just start over, but nobody likes that, let's be real. So after that, we're going to close the puff stitch by a nice chain 1. I've also seen some people use this stitch where they don't go all the way through on that last loop, so it's just a variation. If you see that going around, it's kind of nice when you're crocheting on top of it. We're not going to do that here. Today we're going through all the loops. Let's do it again. We've got to do 6. So yarn over, insert the hook, yarn over, pull up. 2 times, 3 times, and now we're going through all of those loops. And boom. Okay, so let's do that a few more times. Let me make sure you guys can see. Yarn over, up, 2, 3, all, and chain to close. We have 3. This is going to be one of the easiest counting stitch videos I've ever done. We're working our 4th right now. Pull through, close, 4, and let's work our last one. 1, 2, and 3. Through and 1. Alright. Now you're going to want to pause before we're going to end up slip stitching to join, but before we do that, we want to pull that magic ring close. So if you decided not to do the magic ring and you did like a chain 3 or a chain 4, this may not close. It's still worth pulling it tight because that first chain you get is going to tighten it a little bit once you pull it tight, but it may not close all the way. So don't panic going forward. If you didn't like it, just chain 3 instead of 4 or whatnot, and it'll help close it up. Or try the magic ring, because I promise you, once you get it down, you will love using that instead of creating a ring. Okay, now I am lazy. I'm going to admit this a lot, you guys. I do not like weaving in ends in any of my projects, so anytime I have the opportunity to work it in the project as I go, I will take advantage of that. So I am going to be slip stitching to the beginning puff stitch. So we're here, we've closed our magic ring, and now I'm going to insert the hook here, and we're going to do a slip stitch to join. However, I don't want to lose that little strand because I'm going to be working it in to my second row. So I just lay it right on top, and I am just going to pretend that it is one of these threads that I'm going to be wrapping around. I am going to try to bring this just a little bit closer for anyone who might be having trouble seeing, because I know these videos are not always the most ideal. So you guys let me know what works for you. Alright, so now for our second row. Now we're going to be doing puff stitches again, but we're going to work 2 into each puff stitch around. So we have our 6. You should end up with 12 when we're done. So let's go ahead and hammer that out. We're going to chain 2 to start. Wait, hold on. Just kidding. Nope, we're not chaining 2. Sorry, I'm going off of memory here. We are currently located on the top of that stitch, and we want to be here in between the 2 puffs. So to get there, I'm going to slip stitch over to the center. So I'm literally just going to insert my hook. Let me show you guys a little bit better. in between those two. You'll feel that there's like a little hole or a little space in between those two. And we're just going to slip stitch to that beginning. So now we're in the right space. Now we're going to chain 2. Boom. My dog is seriously snoring right now, so if you guys hear some weird noises, I am so sorry. But anyways, God bless this dog. She's my service dog, so I keep her with me almost always. Anyway, but she's a nut. She's an Australian Shepherd. If you guys know Aussies, they have a personality like no other. Okay, so now we're working that puff stitch into that same space. We're gonna work 2 of them. So 1, yarn over, pull up, yarn over. 2 more times. Da 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 da. And now we're going to go through all of those and chain 1 to close. Some people opt to do another chain 1 in between. I feel like this makes the project a little bit more too open and it's not as tight as I see all this here, so I do not. The pattern I got ages ago called for another chain. I don't like it, but if you guys notice that you don't have enough space and you prefer more space, add a chain right now. That's where you would do that. Otherwise, we're just going to go back into the same stitch. We're going to work another puff stitch. And we're going to yarn over, pull through all of these. Chain 1. Alright, we've worked our 2. So now we're going to go into this next space in between the next 2 puff stitches. Right in there. So yarn over first. Again, I'm still holding this one because I don't want to weave it in later, so that's your cheat. Just grab it with it, and we're going to go 1, 2, 3, pull through all, and 1, 2, 3. Okay, if you guys are taking off without me, by all means, keep finishing. You're going to do the same finish at the end. This is where if it wasn't a live class, I would totally fast forward it and save you guys some sanity. But that's not the case. So if you guys have any questions, now's a great chance to ask. This stitch, the puff stitch, it's very similar to also the bean stitch. Another one that's very, very good for, I've used it in headbands. I've used it in scarves to create texture. It's just a really, really good stitch. And it's not one that a lot of people know how to do, so when people first start learning crochet, they always stick with the basic, like, well, I wouldn't say always. I've known people to venture out into more difficult ones, but a lot of times they stick with your basic single crochet, double crochet, half double crochet, and this is one that definitely has a different look to it, so it'll help your project stand out a little bit more. Especially when you learn to start mixing them. Alright, I am going to take a moment and cut off that excess because you don't need to weave in a whole heck of a lot, and I probably have the worst scissors for this. I see other people who have like these amazing scissors and they cut so good, but I left those downstairs. Welcome to my life. Alright, so we have 1 more. We're going to do 2 more right there, and then we're going to slip stitch to join. So again, we're going to puff stitch into that space. Hopefully you guys saw where I did all that. 1, 2, and 3. We're going to go through all the loops, chain 1, and our last puff stitch. And chain 1. Alright, so we're going to slip stitch to that one to join that ring. And you should have something that kind of looks like that right now. This actually could be a really good start for like a flower crochet, like a granny square or something like that. I think a lot of people use them in the sunflower patterns that I've seen going around, and then you'll switch and do something else for the petals. So if that's something that you guys have seen, this is literally how easy it is. So now that you've gotten over that beginner part, go and try one of those. Go down. I know there's free patterns on Pinterest. We're going to slip stitch into the beginning because I want to start into, this is going to become, these doubles are going to become the points of our hexagon. So we always want to kind of make that our starting point. So you're going to slip stitch over to that one, just make it nice and loose, and then we're going to chain chain 2. Now we're going to start introducing the double crochets in between each corner of the hexagon. So we're going to end up putting, this one has 3. I thought I did a bigger one. These bigger ones, we'll probably do 2 rows. It's easier. But we're going to do 3 across and go from there. So let's get started. We're going to start with our 2 puff stitches in our first point. So yarn over, go right in between those. And we're doing that 3 times. And, grab it. 3. Pull through all. Chain 1. Do it 1 more time into that stitch, and we've got our first point. Alright, we're going to work 3 double crochets. If you guys are super new and you don't know what double crochet is, we definitely have a link in the description as well, but I will walk you through it. It is not super difficult, especially if you've gotten through the puff stitches. So you're going to yarn over. I'm going to insert the hook into the top of this puff stitch. So right into there. And I do stitch pretty tightly, so excuse me for having to like shove it in there, but you're going to yarn over, pull up. So you should have pulled up 1 loop. Should have something that looks like this. Pull up 2. And then pull up 2 more. We're going to work another one in the space between. So this one should be nice and easy to find. Pull up 1. Pull up 2. And pull up 2. 1 more double crochet on the top of this stitch. 1, 2, 2. And then we're going back into the point. So now we're going to work 2 puff stitches into that point. So yarn over, insert it right there, pull up, and do that 2 more times. And pull through. And 1 more. Again, when you're doing 2 into the same stitch, don't let that fool you. I know that sometimes I go a little fast, but we did go into the same stitch. So 2 puff stitches into that center point. Alright, we have one side. Now we're going to go right back into the double crochet. So we're going to go into the top of that puff stitch and work our double crochet. 1, 2, and pull up 2. Another double crochet into that space. And another one right here. If I went a little bit fast, guys, I promise this video will be available after going live, so you can definitely go back, watch it, rewind it, do all that fun stuff. And if you have questions, put them in the comments. I'm here to help you guys. So definitely let me know. Okay, we're at another one of those points. So these are our sides. These are, and then these right here are going to be the points of that hexagon. So we're going to do 2 more puff stitches into that spot. So yarn over, insert, pull up 1, do that 2 more times. Yarn over, pull through all, chain 1 to close, and we're working right back into that same stitch. So work 2 puff stitches. I am going to speed up just because we've got 6 more sides. Well, my math. 4 more sides. We've already done 2. But hopefully you guys can still see what's going on. Right into the top, double crochet, into the middle, and into the top. We're at another point, So 2 puff stitches are going to go into that one. Pull through all, chain 1, same stitch. Don't mess that up, or it will not become a hexagon. Back to the double crochets. Whoa, you see me almost mess up? Go into the top, don't go into the center. Alright. And we're going to do a second row just because, one, this yarn is a little bit thinner than the sugar and cream, something I probably should have mentioned, just slightly though, not much. But I want to make it a little bit bigger, plus I want to show you guys how to increase if you end up wanting to make one that's more than just one of these rows that ends up going far larger. You'll get to see that. So stick around and I'll show you how to customize the size. We're going to go back in here with our 2 puff stitches. Same stitch, because this is one of those points, so don't forget. Perfect. Now 3 double crochets. And 1 more puff stitch. I'm sorry, 1 more set of puff stitches because we've got our last point right now. Boop. Alright, 3 double crochets, and then we're going to join to that first puff stitch to join. Sorry, slip stitch to join. That's what they always say. Slip stitch to beginning to join. So, trying to use the right lingo so you guys get familiar with it. I don't know if I like where, yeah. Alright, so we're going to join right back into the top of that puff stitch. You don't need to turn. If you notice, every row I haven't turned my work, so don't worry about turning. In fact, we're going to end up chaining to the corner. So, these I stopped. This was the row where I did my 3, and then I did my border. I will show you the border later. Give me a second. For this particular one, I'm going to take us 1 more row, because if you guys end up wanting to make this super larger for a hot plate or something, I want you to know how to do that. So every now and then, if you just want to kind of tug, this is kind of how I block this item, and then you can always pin it when it's done. But we're going to add another row to make it bigger. The only difference is you have 3 here. You're going to get my fancy pointer. You have 1, 2, 3. You're going to have another double crochet here and another double crochet here. So as long as every side is increasing by 2 stitches, 1 on each side, you know you're doing it right. So you'll have 3. The next row we're going to have 5 double crochets. If I were to keep going beyond that, it would have 7 and 9 and so on and so forth. So let's go ahead and do 1 more row together. These would look good as a crocheted basket. I cannot agree more. I didn't do it on these. I have wine totes. I was going to show them later, but I use this stitch. It's actually this is that corner stitch. It's the puff stitch together in those, and it creates this. And you could also do this for the base of the wine tote versus this boring regular circle, and then continue up. But this I have a full tutorial on. That link is also in the description below. But yes, the puff stitch is such a great, it's so versatile. You can use it for so many things. Like I said, I've also used it for headbands. And then there's, if you like this style stitch, sorry, I'm talking and I'm just crocheting and I'm not telling you guys what I'm doing. So, we did not chain 1, we did not turn, we just slip stitched. You're going to do 1 more slip stitch into the center to get you to the point of the hexagon. But if you guys end up liking this stitch, you're going to want to check out the bean stitch as well. It's another great one. I think I have a tutorial on it. If you check out my tutorials playlist, I should have something on the bean stitch. I think I even have it as a headband if I remember right. It's just been a while since I recorded that one. We've slip stitched into the corner right here. Chain 2. Nothing crazy, guys. We're just repeating the other row except increasing our double crochets. So we're going to do 2 puff stitches into the point right here. Jen, the Santa hats. No, that was a bobble stitch. That is a good one though. Another one that I've actually been also using. If you guys are into the amigurumi, I cannot ever say that word. The amigurumi, the animal crochet animals. The bobble stitch is a good one on the pickles. It really makes them cute. I just tested a pattern for someone, so I just happen to know that offhand. But 2 puff stitches into that one. But yeah, that's a bobble stitch. You can look it up. I can totally do a class on that. I will probably add it to my list as soon as we are done with this. Okay, we're switching to those double crochets. So one goes on the top here, and then your next one here, you're going to end up doing 5. So you're doing it on the top of the puff stitch, double crochet, and then double crochet in the next 3 double crochets, 1 more on top of the next puff stitch. If you were reading the pattern, that's how it would likely be written. So just, and this was not supposed to happen, but it always happens to me. You can do one of 2 things. You can either, and it's only because these puff stitches technically have that chain, which can throw you off. You can go into these and skip this one, or I can go back and skip here and go 1, 2, 3. You're going to naturally skip right here just because it's 1 stitch, but technically, if you're not careful, it can start counting as 2 just because of that chain 1 to close. Bestie Squad, can I get a shout out? I mean, you can do your best. And Jen Pickles, yes, it was an emotional support pickle. It was the cutest thing, and it was a little girl that was writing the pattern, so I was really happy to help her get some feedback. So I'm going to skip that last one because otherwise I will inadvertently create another stitch. I'm going to go right on top of this puff stitch. You know what? In hindsight, I don't like that. Welcome to my brain. I'm going to not skip that one. I'm going to actually skip that one. So I'm going to go here. Just make sure you guys only have 5 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we're going to jump into 2 puff stitches right there. Again, I'm doing this completely off of memory. And it's been a while since I've made these. This is why I should learn to actually write down more of my stuff. So 2 puff stitches. Excuse me. Like I said, my son is in basketball, and I don't know what it is about us basketball moms, but I cannot I try so hard, but I cannot not yell. I know I'm probably the most embarrassing mom in the bleachers, but it is what it is. I played for so many years, so I lose my voice at almost every game, and I thought it would be recovered by now, but it clearly is still struggling. Okay, we're going to be putting 1 more set of 5 double crochets, so I go on top of that puff stitch, then I go into the next 3, 2, you should have 5 double crochets total to complete this side. So that will mean that I am skipping that little spot that I know we worked into on the previous row. So I know it's a little wonky, but just make sure you have 5 and then 2 puff stitches into the corner. Boom, chain, work it, same stitch. It's not your eyes playing tricks. We are going into that same stitch. Alright. Again, if this was a real tutorial, this is when I would leave you to your own demise and fast forward it, but since we are recording live, you're going to have to bear with me, but hopefully you guys are getting through this together with me. And we're going to pick up pace a little bit. 2 puff stitches, 5 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2 puff stitches. One second. 5 as we're here at this side again. Boom, 2 more puff stitches. Hopefully you guys are loving the way this is turning out. I love the hexagon. It's a little different than the typical circle. Those can get kind of, I wouldn't say boring, but you know, you just every now and then need to do something a little unique. So one thing I would like to eventually do is maybe even take these hexagons into a bigger project, like a blanket or a shawl or something like that. I've also seen some other style hexagons out there. I started making a shawl out of some of them, but again, it ended up in the great amount of whips that I have. I store them all under my desk, and I actually committed to finishing about 3 of them. I don't know how many work in progresses you guys all have. Maybe this is like confession time. Maybe everyone should put in the chat, I have X amount, because I think if I look under my desk right now, I probably have about like 15 different projects that just are sitting there waiting for me to finish it. Yeah. I guess ADHD and crocheting should not go hand in hand, but you know, I just get excited to try new things, and I'm almost always working at least 5 projects at a time. Hopefully you guys are not in the same boat, but if you are not alone. You are not alone. Alright, we're at the last side. So 5 double crochets and then slip stitch to join. I actually thought this would take a lot longer to get through. So I'm glad you guys are going to be able to see it all complete. I'm seeing it as a pillow right now. Ooh. I didn't think of that, and I think that's a fantastic idea. I have seen a pillow cover that I wanted to try, and it was like a granny square, but it involved a lot of front post double crochets that I still have not tried. But it looks really good. I love the pillow covers. I think that would be a really good idea. Especially if you did like some tassels on the end, I think that would be fantastic. Okay, so I'm going to grab a drink of water real quick. We are pretty much done. 1, if you like the way it looks, you're good to stop. You can fasten off and go with it right there. That's what I did with these. And forgive me, I thought the bright colors would be easier to see on screen. And I was wrong. It happens. Excuse me. So here I went puff stitch all the way to the edge. You can fasten off. You can totally rock that, and it is glorious. It's beautiful. But instead, and as you can see with these, the blue tends to be easier to see, I think. I'm going to do a row of half double crochets. And all we're going to do is do 3 half double crochets into each puff, and then do the, let's see, we did a row of 5, so we're going to do 7 half double crochets as the side. That is how you are going to finish it if you want to put a border. Again, it's not mandatory you do a border. I have made them clearly both with a border and without. So it's not necessary, but since we did it on all the other rows, I'm going to go ahead and slip stitch to the center just so I can like feel like I know where I'm starting and finishing. For the half double crochet, they technically say you should chain 2 for your turning chain. We're not turning, but you know, the creating space to start the row. I, for half double crochets, tend to just chain 1. I do make it loose, but for some reason I like that it kind of brings it in a little bit more. So I'm going to do a half double crochet. I'm so sorry. I'm rude. I didn't really walk through that. If you guys didn't catch that, we're yarn over, insert hook, pull up 1, and then you're pulling up through all 3. So it's like the double crochet, but you're skipping the pull up 2, pull up 2. Now you're pulling through all 3. Hence, half double crochet. You're doing half of the work. Sorry, I'm an analogy person. We are putting 3 into this stitch, so that is not your eyes playing tricks on you. We're going back into the same stitch. This will be that 3rd half double crochet. Pull up 1, pull up 3. I do have a huge tutorial in depth on the half double crochet because it is another stitch that I didn't know for the longest time, and I use it a lot. Feel free to check that out. It is in the description below. But we're going to keep going. So we had 5 double crochets down here. We're going to increase it by 1 here and 1 here, making it 7. I only like to overly explain how I'm getting all these numbers. Again, pull up 1, pull up 3, because if you guys want to leave this class and go and make your own items, I want you to understand why we increased 2, how to change it to be a pillow or a bigger, I don't know, you could probably even make this like a really pretty area rug if you did, whoops, whoa, the right yarn and stuff like that. So I just want you guys to be able to walk away going, I learned a new stitch and I know how to manipulate it to do what I want, so you guys can just keep creating. I think it's so awesome the amount of things that we can make with yarn, and I think a lot of times we forget. So I've done 7. We're not going to go into the top of that puff stitch, but we are going to work 3 half double crochets into that point to keep defining our hexagon shape. So there's 3, and now we're on to our 7 to form another side. Five, 6, and 7. So this is only if you guys wanted to do the border. This row is not required. I have made them with both the border and without the border. It's entirely up to you what you think would look good. 3 half double crochets into that point, and then another 7 to create that side. And you'll notice it's curling a little bit. That's okay. If you are better than I am and more disciplined than I am, and you block your work, that will eliminate the curling. But it will just naturally work itself out once you finish using it a few times, to be honest with you, because by then you've had cups on it or whatever that have weighed it down. 3 half double crochets into the point. But I love these. I give them as gifts. They've been really, like, I know our neighbors, we all give gifts at, you know, Christmas or just, you know, random holidays, or maybe you just want a thank you gift to a mom that helps you get your kid to and from one of the games or something like that. This is great because it works up quickly. It doesn't take a whole lot of time. The yarn is fairly inexpensive if you're just doing scrap yarn. Oops, hold on. I went into the puff stitch mode. 3 half double crochets into the point. If you just want to make something that's not going to be super crazy, like a blanket or something like that, it's a great gift. What I do is I make 4, I tie them together, and then, you know, that's their gift. They got that. I've had some people just absolutely love them. So, and again, you can use them as face scrubbies, washcloths, especially if you're using cotton yarn. They work really, really good for that. And we're working our 7 on the side. I do want to show you guys when we get to the end how to do the invisible join. I've seen that going around a lot. I kind of wish I'd known that years ago, so I figure I'll show you guys. 3 half double crochets into this one. And last but not least, our 7 half double crochets. And then we are going to do an invisible join and fasten off and weave in the ends. So you guys will hopefully see why I love using yarn needles. If you guys do not use yarn needles to finish off your work, oh man, they are way better than how I used to do it as a kid when I never had them. Alright, so we've done our last half double crochet. Again, you can just, what I've seen people do is if they have a pinning board, they'll pin it and do the pins pulling at the points. So that'll be the best way for you guys to block it and better get that hexagon shape, but it's nice and subtle. If you guys are going to do the invisible join, actually first, if you guys don't want to do the invisible join, slip stitch into the beginning, fasten off. Oh, maybe I'm doing, no. Boom. Slip stitch into the beginning, fasten off, and weave in the ends. But I do want to show you guys how to do the invisible. So what you're going to do, and it seems a little weird because I know we haven't like locked that. That's still very much like, trust me, it's not as scary as it comes off. So cut, get better scissors, and then cut. I need my Fancy Nancy yarn needles. You guys may, if you have a yarn needle that is plastic like this, that'll work too. I always tend to like the metal ones. They're a little bit harder to get the yarn into, but they are good with buttons. So if you do a lot of work with buttons, and I use buttons on a lot of my headbands to help close them, these holes, especially the wider ones, they don't go through the eye, or the eye of the needle does not go through the button holes when you're sewing it to your project. So that's why these wider ones, they have their plus. They are easier to thread, but they don't really work. And for me, I don't feel like I have as much control, although this one's not super flimsy. So that's not a bad option. But I don't know. I'm always using these metal ones, so I will just continue to rock it. Now, I have not done this in a while, so give me a second. Here's how I do it. This is going to sound crazy because normally you're slip stitching and then pulling it through. We're going to pull it through. Okay? Don't panic. So this is how you can invisible join. So now we're just going to thread. I get very creative. Just kind of pull it through. Boom. Alright. So now that we're threaded, we're going to look up. Normally this is where you slip stitch. Hold on. Let my dog go ahead and I'll close the door. Alright guys, sorry. My husband just got home, and we all know that when you're recording live, it has its pluses and minuses. So I think I'm going to make smaller ones and put cars. Ooh, car cup holders, huge, because I have some things that like to rattle in the cup holder, and having these on it will get rid of that rattling too, so your sanity will be saved. So normally we would slip stitch into this stitch right here. We're not going to. We're now going to invisible stitch over it to make it invisible. I know, it sounds crazy. So take your yarn needle. We've already pulled it through, so you still have it looking like that. Don't go into the one we would slip stitch into. Go into here, and we're going to grab both loops. So you're grabbing both of that braid. You're going boom. See how it's already starting to pull that together? Should pull it right on top. And now we want to finish it. So we're going to go, I'm going to flip this way so I don't block it. But we're going to end up going in right there. So you've got that. It's going to create, you see how it created a fake braid right there? That's consistent with the edge. That is why it ends up being a really good invisible fit. So now what you're going to do is just start weaving it in. I like to go down the stitches. Boom, and there you go. So just keep going. Now, when you have a needle, it's a lot easier because you just work it in to wherever you see the threads. What I used to do when I was a kid is I literally used to sit there and pick like little, I would take a smaller hook is what I would do. Let me show you what I used to do. So if you don't have yarn needles, this is how you would do it. You're going to reach in and you're going to like literally pull the thread, the loose needle, or I'm sorry, the loose yarn all the way through all your pieces. It's tedious, it works, but honestly guys, these needles are a few bucks, and you get like a full packet, and they have smaller ones and they have thicker ones. So that link is down below. The one that I actually bought, I think it was only like $5 or $6 if I remember right. So check that out. It's a nice Amazon link. It's an affiliate link. You guys know how that works. I'm not going to really worry about it. But at least you guys can get a nice little cheap option that will help you guys finish your project. So you guys don't have to go as far as I am. I'm just kind of trying to really show you guys how it works. But we can go ahead and cut it. Da, 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 da. Where are my scissors? There they are. Alright. And then you have yourself a nice coaster. Again, pin it to a pinning board so you guys can really get to block it out and get that hexagon shape. But otherwise, it is done. It is good to use. It doesn't have really a wrong side or a right side, so that's what's nice. And yeah, Lorraine, if you were going to do it as a pillow, I would just make it bigger. I would still do this border, and that'll give you a lot to grab if you're going to join like two sides together, because then you've got like a good consistent edge of half double crochets that you can literally sew together, stuff it, or wrap it around an existing pillow, and I think that would really work well. So great, great, great ideas. And that is it. Guys, I hope you guys were able to kind of go with me. I know I went fast on a few sections, but again, this video will be up on my channel afterwards. So feel free to check it out, save the link, you can rewind it, go as slow as you want. I appreciate everyone for being in the chat and letting me know your ideas and what your thoughts were on this. This is the puff stitch. So just again, this is the puff stitch. I did use this stitch also, like I showed before, in these wine totes. This tutorial is also on my channel in the tutorial section. It's free, so guys, great gifts, great little surprise things in the holiday season. I've even thought about not doing the gnome thing and just doing random colors, like maybe even sports colors, when you're going to some Super Bowl parties, which are coming up. Or even just other favorite colors and whatnot, because let's face it, we have so much beautiful yarn that there's no reason why you should limit it. So these are also the puff stitches. It's no different than what you're seeing right here, except I think I only yarned over twice instead of 3 times for the stitch, but follow the tutorial. It'll walk you through it all. Otherwise, enjoy this. Okay, that's all I have for today, this project today. I will be here next week, Wednesday, 2 o'clock, so let me know. I think I'm going to be starting some beanie series, maybe start with how to do the brim on the beanies, and then give you guys a lot of different ideas on how you can change the beanie and work other stitches on the top to make it your own and create different looks. Haven't decided yet, or I may also see about that puff stitch, or the bean stitch headband. That might be another great option. But if you guys have some other requests, feel free to throw it in the chat. If you guys have some patterns that you're having trouble navigating, again, send them my way. I'm more than happy to help. I'd love to help you guys get through that, maybe even make a class out of it, or maybe even 2 or 3, depending on how intricate the pattern is. Otherwise, I will see you next week. Don't forget, I have the other classes from the previous weeks. They are loaded in the channel, the Get Hooked channel. It is a playlist now, so you guys can actually check out previous classes. This scarf was one of our first ones. Definitely a doozy. Take a look at it. The link is also in the description. Subscribe, turn on those notifications. I will see you next week, Wednesday at 2. Keep stitching. Bye, guys.